What you need to know on GMA3 right now. Squaring off in Ohio, counting down to tonight's first presidential debate with incredibly high stakes for President Trump, former Vice President Joe Biden, and the American people.
Plus, all in the fight for democracy. Star and producer of the award-winning documentary and voting rights activist Stacey Abrams right here on the importance of every single vote, part of our Turning Point initiative exploring the racial reckoning sweeping the nation. COVID combat. The Secretary of the Army joins us on the front lines of the U.S. military's war on coronavirus.
And as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, the CEO and founder of Glam Seamless is here to kick off our Pitch Payday Challenge. Entrepreneurs competing for cash. And first up,
we sell t-shirts, coffee mugs, hats, we have it all.
We'll meet the small business engine behind Yo Soy Afro Latina, specializing in multicultural merch that is bold, empowering, and cute.
And En La Sala, the Latin pop artist with the popular bilingual podcast, Becky G, is here.
Now from Times Square, T.J. Holmes and Amy Robach with what you need to know.
And good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us on this Tuesday at GMA3. Glad everybody, I'm still almost wanting to call it Good Morning America 3. That's not right?
It's GMA3.
I should say.
Call it whatever you want.
See how quick she got on to me.
No, I'm teasing. You can call it whatever you want. All right. And we, as always, have our ABC Chief Medical Correspondent, Dr. Jen Ashton, here with us as well. And we do have a lot to get to today. So many headlines to go through, but also some major developments that we've been tracking. The latest COVID numbers from Johns Hopkins University, the human toll from coronavirus marking a deadly milestone. More than 1 million people now around the world have died, with at least 33.3 million global cases. And the number of Americans killed since this pandemic began, right now at least 205,000.
And Doc, so much has been talked about with kids, so much debate it seems with children. So we do have there is no centralized database to track what's going on in schools, but you do have some new info here about trends in pediatric cases since April. What does it tell us?
That's right, and just came out by the American Academy of Pediatrics at midnight, really the latest on the numbers. So take a look at this, you guys. They tracked over a 5-month period pediatric cases. These are confirmed cases, just over 500,000. They also are tallying 10% of all cumulative confirmed cases in the U.S. in the 0 to 18-year-old age group. And in just the last week, you guys, children accounted for anywhere from 12 to just under 16% of weekly reported cases. Now remember, these are just confirmed cases, but the idea here is that we're starting to paint a picture of just what this virus looks like in this pediatric population.
And that is actually a really frightening headline to look at, rapid rise in pediatric COVID-19 cases. But you say there are some caveats behind this headline.
And important ones, Amy. So the story behind this headline right now is that you heard me just say they tracked this over a 5-month period, and the headline is these cases are going up compared to what? Remember, we just started to identify this pandemic in February, so they're not matched in terms of time. They're not yet doing widespread surveillance testing in this age group. So when we say confirmed cases, again, tip of the iceberg, and there is new emerging data that teens tend to be looking like they're getting infected more often than younger children. So this is an evolving picture in the pediatric age group, and we say it all the time, kids are not little adults, and this study proved that.
All right, Doc, thank you so much. It changes every day. We keep learning. Evolving is the word you keep using. Thank you so much. We'll see you plenty throughout the hour, and we're going to turn now to ABC's Kira Phillips. She's in D.C. for us with all the latest headlines, and hello to you, Kira.
Hi, TJ. Thank you so much, and good afternoon. We begin here with the big night ahead in politics. I know we're all going to be watching. Just 35 days away now from Election Day, the first major presidential debate about to take place. Ohio. Candidates Trump and Biden just hours away from the socially distanced showdown. Security tight in Cleveland. That blockbuster New York Times report on the president's taxes, just one of the issues taking center stage. Records he has refused to release, reportedly showing that he paid just $750 in taxes the year he won the White House and his first year in office. ABC has not independently confirmed those records. ABC News coverage of that main event getting underway, 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. You won't want to miss it. And the state state of emergency in Northern California, where rampaging wildfires have forced nearly 80,000 residents to evacuate the area now. The Zog fire turning deadly. At least 3 people have been killed. Fires raging now in Sonoma and Napa country. Kentucky judge ordering grand jury documents and recordings to be released in the Breonna Taylor case, possibly making them available to the public now after a juror filed a motion. All of this happening as new questions emerge about that botched police raid after video obtained by Vice shows new details in the aftermath of that deadly incident. And the Tampa Bay Lightning striking it rich with the Stanley Cup, beating the Dallas Stars 2-0, taking the series 4-2, hoisting that big trophy to empty stands. Kind of a bummer, but that victory on ice, oh, so sweet. Amy, this is the first big team championship win since sports shut down during the coronavirus emergency this spring, and the second time Lightning struck. They won it all back in 2004, too. You know, my husband's Canadian. We're big hockey fans.
Yeah,
we're always watching the Stanley Cup.
I can see that enthusiasm. Also, Dr. Jen fist pumping over there as she's listening to you. So you got a fan right next to me as well. All right, thank you,
Dr.
Kira.
Jen. Okay, Amy.
There is much more ahead right here on GMA3 inside the eye-opening new documentary urging every American to vote. Stacey Abrams will join us.
And the U.S. military versus coronavirus. The Army playing an active role in developing a vaccine and facing a rise in a tragic problem in the ranks. Secretary Ryan McCarthy is here with us. Stay with us.
ABC's GMA3, What You Need to Know, brought to you by Medicare Options from Blue Cross and Blue Shield companies.
The anticipation, the expectations, the stakes couldn't be higher. Trump-Biden, Debate 1, tonight on ABC, starting with a live event special with the most powerful team in politics. Then the debate, tonight on ABC.
All right, welcome back to GMA3, and there is an all-out effort to get more people to the polls this November, and there's a new documentary now that aims to help voters better navigate that process as we get closer to Election Day, which is now just 35 days away.
That is correct, and it's called All In, The Fight for Democracy. It's produced by former Georgia House Minority Leader Stacey Abrams via Amazon Studios, and we are very happy to have Stacey Abrams herself joining us now. So thank you so much for being with us, Stacey. Before we get to voting, I want to get your reaction on the New York Times report about President Trump's tax returns. I'm curious, obviously it was a big headline. It was information journalists have been spending years and years trying to get their hands on. But how much of an impact do you think this is going to have on Election Day? Will it actually change a voter's mind?
I think that for those who have been solidly behind Donald Trump, this will make no difference. Those who have been opposed will make no difference. But for those independent voters, for that 14% that say they're still undecided, I do think it will continue to either reaffirm what they believe or contradict something they've told themselves. But hopefully it will convince those remaining voters that this is not the man to lead our country.
And also, I don't know if you saw, this came from the UK. UK's Channel 4 actually got its hands on a huge cache of documents, some information that essentially showed in 2016, according to this outlet, that the Trump administration targeted some 3.5 million black voters and tried to find ways to target them with advertising to keep them, to discourage them from the polls. I'd like to hear your reaction to that as you work on so much there in Georgia, voter suppression. But this is, if true, is some kind of a high-tech voter suppression. So your reaction and what do you think about moving forward and how we're supposed to keep an eye on and how we're supposed to combat this type of attack?
It's not about whether you vote for one guy or the other. It's about whether you try to discourage or prevent voters from being heard at all. And to the extent anyone undertakes the effort of blocking eligible Americans from casting their ballots, they're engaged in voter suppression, and that is wrong.
Take a moment here to talk to those voters, maybe even especially young voters who kind of throw their hands up and they're trying to be encouraged to engage in a process that so many people say is not fair.
Regardless of the party you stand with, the process of being able to vote, the process of being able to select your leaders should never be ceded to anyone else. And so I won't concede that a system is proper that doesn't serve us, but I will also not give my power away by saying I'm going to let you win by giving up. And that's what I want young people in particular to understand. If they want the change that we talk about, action on climate, action on criminal justice reform, action on bodily autonomy, action on our economy, and action on COVID-19, then we cannot give up. We must show up and cast our ballots this election season.
That is a powerful message, and it's going to be a pretty powerful night. I know you'll be watching, Stacey, tonight. President Trump and Joe Biden have their first debate. What are you expecting to see on that stage?
Well, I'm expecting Joe Biden to remind us of why he is such a beloved person, why we wanted him to be the nominee for the Democratic Party. I expect to see a man of competence, someone who has the moral courage and the vision for how we recover. I expect to hear lies from Donald Trump. I expect him to try to evade taking responsibility for the failures of his administration. This is a man who is in the midst of a pandemic, is attempting to strip Americans of their health care. And so I want to hear how he's willing to resolve the contradictions in what he says and, unfortunately, what we see him not do every single day.
Well, the documentary is All In, The Fight for Democracy, streaming now on Prime Video. Stacey Abrams, we appreciate your time and your voice today. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Hey, stay with us here on GMA3. Just ahead, the Secretary of the Army on the coronavirus fight and sounding the alarm on a worrisome development within the ranks.
And the sharp rise in active duty suicides as the battle against COVID-19 intensifies. We're going to look into that when we come back.
And welcome back to GMA3, and some troubling new numbers to pass along about our U.S. service members who are struggling with the pressures from not just deployments and defending the country, but the pandemic, national disasters, and civil unrest. According to the Associated Press, deaths by suicide in the U.S. military have increased by 20% this year compared to 2019, with Army leaders reporting a 30% rise in active duty suicides. I want to bring in now the Secretary of the Army, Ryan McCarthy, to talk about this and other things. Sir, thank you so much for being here. And we'll start with these numbers. This can be a complex issue, but certainly you all are noticing the spike. It coincided when the pandemic hit. So what do you attribute this spike in numbers to?
Well, yeah, as we mentioned in the Associated Press article, that currently the suicide numbers for the Army are higher than what we've seen at year over year. When you have 19 years of sustained combat operations, as well as an operational tempo that is still on par with what we saw during the surge in 2009 and 10 of combat operations in the Middle East, our men and women are pressed to the limit. And so when you see suicide numbers rise, came roughly in the spring timeframe when COVID-19 pandemic really hit hard in the United States. It's clear it's adding additional stress on our men and women.
And you said kind of pressed to the limit. So these are maybe just extraordinary times for our U.S. men and women. So how are you helping them? How are you responding now during these unprecedented really times?
So the Army leadership has really invested itself really since the early summer in looking at our priorities and how we invest our time, and time being the key word there. Every day is a math problem. And how do we look at investments in our people, counseling them, getting feedback, knowing their family members, ensuring that you understand the pressures on them personally as well as professionally. When people are pushed every day, global demands like you've seen with 178,000 people deployed overseas, we had at the height of operations here in the United States with COVID and civil unrest, we had over 40,000 soldiers deployed just domestically. So from that standpoint, when 250,000 people are decisively engaged, and that's 250,000 getting ready, 250,000 just coming off, that's a constant state of churn. So we're very proud of their performance, but it wears on folks over time.
They have a tough job, our men and women. Anyway, so now the pandemic happens, put an extra strain, and you all are really at the forefront, really, of trying to find a solution to this global problem with Operation Warp Speed, trying to find a vaccine. And I know the initial idea was to have a vaccine ready to go by January 2021, and eventually have 300 million doses. Is that timeline still reasonable? Is it still likely?
So from end to end on the COVID pandemic, whether it's building hospitals, augmenting staff to hospitals, delivering food, and even running nursing homes, the Army is central to the Operation Warp Speed effort. Medical Research and Development Command of the U.S. Army helped co-develop the vaccines for Ebola and Zika, and now are central to this effort for the pursuit of a COVID-19 vaccine. There's about 5 to 7 candidates globally that we are working with the private sector, utilizing our labs to compress development time, as well as looking at the testing and distribution sites around the country. There will be vaccine candidates that will become available in the December-January timeframe, and then those doses will continually be pushed throughout the United States, and we'll work with our allies and partners as well.
Well, sir, we always appreciate you all taking the time. These are very tough topics and tough times, but I think we all can still applaud the men and women of our military for the work they're doing under the added pressures now of this pandemic. Thank you so much for the update. We hope to see you again.
Thanks, TJ.
And coming up right here on GMA3, Dr. Jen Ashton answering a number of your questions about the coronavirus, and our Pitch Payday Challenge kicked off today by the CEO behind the Glam Seamless success story. We're going to meet our first contestant, a small business owner specializing in fun and empowering Afro-Latina merch. Stay with us. Welcome back to What You Need to Know. We have Dr. Jen Ashton here with us, as always. And, you know, we have been talking about awareness months, and several months have different disorders or diseases that we try to, yes, shine a light onto and to bring people's awareness to. We're at the end of September, and there's another big one involving women's health.
This is so important and close to my heart because it's in my professional wheelhouse. PCOS, or polycystic ovarian syndrome. You guys, we refer to this as the most common but least well understood hormonal condition affecting women. Estimated 7 to 10 or more million women just in the United States, so 5 to up to 15% of women. And basically it's characterized by some sorts of hormonal imbalance where they have high levels of testosterone, estrogen, and some other hormones, so it can cause problems with their periods, problems with their skin, acne, infertility, weight gain. There's a huge spectrum of severity, so it's not one size fits all, but this is classically missed. And if it's missed, it can cause a lot of symptoms. So as we always talk about, it's about awareness and managing the syndrome so that it doesn't manage you.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that syndrome before.
And believe me, you know people with it. It is that common. It can start in teenage, adolescent years. It can go all the way up, and it also can increase the risk of a woman developing heart disease. So management with lifestyle, or in some cases hormonal treatments, very, very important. But just like with anything in medicine, you can't address it if you can't identify it.
Right. How is it diagnosed?
Usually with a good history, physical, sometimes some blood tests. Occasionally, older school doctors will get an ultrasound. But this is so common, it has to be on people's radars. And you, as a dad of a daughter, you too, my sir.
No, I always pay attention and listen to women's health.
Very good.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks us all. All right, thanks so much. All right, stay with us, folks. We'll be right back here on GMA3.
Welcome back to What You Need to Know, and a sign of the times. If you're a little alarmed about your pandemic snacking, we offer you something else to focus on. Yes, that is Maggie from Tennessee having a bit of an issue with her crunchy cravings. We just want you to know that you're not alone.
What are they calling it? The pounds people are putting on? Pandemic pounds? Is that just,
Quarantine 15.
It's something. Quarantine 15, that's what I've been hearing.
I mean,
That's real.
that's a problem for our canine friends.
That's all right, Doc. Let's get to our viewer question. I don't know if they have anything to do with the quarantine 15. Let's start with hair loss, though. Question 1 from a viewer: has there been any documentation of hair loss as a side effect of COVID-19 infection?
A lot, you guys, and I'm hearing more and more about this every single day from viewers, from my patients. This is the typical time period we would expect to see kind of a shock alopecia or hair loss, which we can see after a stressful physical or in some cases emotional trauma acutely. Happens 3 to 5 months later. The good news is most of the time that hair growth will restore itself, but it can take months for that to happen because such is the life cycle of a hair follicle. A lot of people noticing this.
All right, well, earlier we were talking about pediatrics and COVID-19. This is a very specific question. Have we seen any adverse COVID-19 related effects on newborns?
So neonates you're talking about right after delivery, you know, in the first couple of weeks after birth, very, very limited data. What is available right now suggests luckily, there have been no major case reports of acutely ill neonates, even those who have moms who were COVID positive in the delivery room. So again, we know that newborns are very vulnerable to all types of infections. So medically, socially, everyone erring on the side of caution when there's a COVID positive mom, taking all the precautions, masks, gowns, gloves, hand washing, but trying to keep that mom and newborn with their baby as much as possible. Very tough situation.
All right, next up here, does the sun have any effects on COVID-19?
All right, TJ. Now, follow me on this one.
All right.
Any virus, and in fact, most pathogens can be deactivated. They can be desiccated when exposed to sunlight. The question is, how much sunlight for how long a period of time? And we also have to say, unfortunately, we do have to make this crystal clear, not once COVID is in the body. You can go out and get all the sunlight you want, and it's not going to do anything to SARS-CoV-2 once it's in your body and causing an infection. So you have to balance that. Get some sunlight, get some vitamin D, but not because you think there's going to be an instantaneous demolition of the SARS-CoV-2 virus.
Oh, let doctor speak. Instantaneous demolition of the virus.
Right.
You can submit your question to Dr. Jen on our Instagram at Dr. J. Ashton. Thanks as always.
You bet. All right, imagine walking into a salon and then walking out with a multi-million-dollar business idea. Well, that's exactly what happened when one entrepreneur's quest to look and feel fabulous actually turned into a mission to make high-quality beauty affordable for everyone.
And now she is here to share her secrets to growing a successful company just like she did. All right, we're ready to take notes here. Folks, joining us now, CEO and founder of Glam Seamless, Alexandra Kristen. Thank you so much for being here. But first things first, you had $1 million idea. Did you know it was $1 million idea when you had it?
No, I just was super passionate about hair extensions, and I led with my passion, and that kind of resulted in success.
So we kind of pitched this, Alexandra, like you walked into a salon and you walked out with $1 million. I know that's not what happened. So talk about some of the biggest challenges you faced while making this into a reality.
Yes, so I was 23 years old and I went into a salon. I wanted these extensions. They were too expensive. And I went home to go find them online. I thought to myself, you can find everything on the internet. So I went to search and I could not find anything. And I decided at that point that I was going to create these extensions just for myself. I also was recently laid off, so I needed a side hustle. And hair extensions are something I've worn for over 15 years. So I started with literally 2 products, a dark color and a light color, went on to Alibaba, and I have $1,500, and I put up a website within 2 weeks, made a YouTube video, and voila, my company, Glam Seamless Hair Extensions, was born.
Okay, I have to ask, and I didn't want to turn to you and ask Robach because I didn't want people to think I was saying you have extensions in your hair right now. But how much are extensions? You said you couldn't afford them at 23. How expensive are these things?
They can be, you know, now they're a little bit more affordable, but
Okay.
8 years ago, extensions were extremely expensive. Now there's, you know, more companies out there making it affordable, and that's exactly what Glam Seamless was all about. You know, we wanted to bring something to the market that was high quality but affordable. Prior to Glam Seamless, all you could find was really, really expensive extensions on the market. And so that was the difference with us. We added more value with our product and created a really great price point for people. And that is what really helped people begin to able to afford extensions.
Okay, sorry, I went a little sideways there, but I was curious. How much are extensions?
It was a good question. And I know a lot of people are at home watching thinking, oh my gosh, look what she did. I need a side hustle that turns into my main hustle. What advice do you have for young entrepreneurs out there just looking to get started?
Yes. So when it comes to starting a business, we are so lucky in today's day and age. There is so many resources out there for you to get started. It's so easy to create a website, market your products on social media, and start selling immediately. You don't need a business plan. You don't need any special type of funding. I had $1,500. So all you need to do is choose a product that you're extremely passionate about. The path to entrepreneurship is extremely difficult, but when you can choose something that you are absolutely passionate about, it doesn't feel like work. So definitely I would say choose something you're passionate about. Be very resourceful with your money. When you're starting out, you know, it's very, very hard to decide where you're going to invest your money. And so deciding where to put those funds is critical.
Well, you've certainly laid a foundation that I know a lot of people are going to want to build upon. So, speaking of that, we're going to ask you to stay with us because when we come back, we're going to launch our Pitch Payday Challenge. And Alexandra is going to give a couple of our viewers who started their own businesses, like this one, the chance to compete for some actual cash. We will meet our first contestant right after the break.
Also coming up, we'll be talking to Becky G, the Latin pop star and now podcaster. Joins us here. Stay here.
Starting Wednesday during the NBA Finals, Kimmel Dunks in prime time with Sandler, McConaughey, Fox, and more. It'll be the greatest.
I don't know, Jimmy.
Jimmy Kimmel Live, game night, Wednesday on ABC.
The NBA Finals.
Davis a three for the win. He hit it!
Where legends are born and legacies are made.
Time to celebrate a title.
The NBA Finals on ABC. Rise together.
Attention shoppers, the classic game show is coming to ABC.
Welcome to Supermarket Swag!
To win $100,000.
We're gonna bring some heat to y'all tonight.
Price check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Oh man, it got physical up in here.
Hosted by Leslie Jones.
One of these teams gets to play for our big money jackpot. We about to have some fun.
Supermarket Sweep premieres Sunday, October 18th on ABC.
All right, welcome back to GMA3. And all week long, we are meeting small business owners who took a leap of faith in starting their own companies. And now they'll pitch why they should win $5,000 to try to take their business to the next level. And today, we are kicking off a little competition that we're calling Pitch Payday Challenge.
Yeah, that's right. We are joined by CEO and founder of Glam Seamless, Alexandra Kristen. She is going to share her business advice with today's contestant, and then at the end of the week, she will choose whose company she will support with that $5,000.
This is our first contestant today, is in need of a little creative inspiration. She left her 9 to 5 in advertising to start her side hustle. So let's meet today's entrepreneur.
Hey y'all, I'm Bianca Key. I'm the creator and owner of Yo Soy Afro Latina, which is a brand that highlights the people, culture, and experiences of Afro Latinas. And I have branded merch. We sell t-shirts, coffee mugs, hats, we have it all. I wanted to create a business and a product that I personally love and that I knew that, I could wear on a daily basis. So something that was bold and empowering, but cute. Yo Soy Afro Latina is inspired by my heritage. I am a fusion of two really dope cultures. I'm Black American and I'm Mexican American. There was a time in my life where I felt like, I didn't see myself on TV. I didn't see myself in newspapers. Afro Latinidad was, something that, yes, has always been around, but it was never talked about. I want to expand Yo Soy Afro Latina into an empire. And I also want to have an impact on my communities by empowering them to really embrace their identity and walk in their truth.
And Bianca joins us now. We're very excited you want to expand into an empire. So to do that, we're going to give you a chance to first tell Alexandra why you should get that money for your business. So take it away.
Yes, definitely. So Yo Soy Afro Latina is a brand that highlights the people, culture, and experiences of Afro Latinas through our custom lifestyle and apparel merch. Growing up, I didn't see my culture represented in the marketplace, and it's very important to me to change that for other Afro Latinos moving forward. I want my company to be a place where those same people can have a platform to celebrate and express pride in their heritage. So if I were to win this money, it could help me invest in product development to diversify our product portfolio and introduce higher quality pieces. It would also allow me to create our products in-house and further build out our Yo Soy Afro Latina team, which would provide opportunities to other Black and Brown creatives. But most importantly, growing my business would allow me to bring my online community together in real life to celebrate a culture that is just as diverse as it is rich in pride.
All right, Alexandra, should we just give her the money now? No, Alexandra, give her some advice here. She talked about growing the business. You want to build an empire, but that starts with some smaller steps. And you heard her describe kind of what she would do already with that 5,000. So what do you think she should do to grow her business?
Yes, just looking into your brand and the website, social media, I love exactly the branding you have going on for you. I get exactly what you're selling the minute I land on the website. As I go through the social media, you have a lot of potential here to scale up this business. I absolutely agree with you that if you were to invest in expanding the product line, you would be making more money faster as opposed to, say, getting an office or investing in, hiring models. One other thing I would do if I were you is invest in product imagery. I would love to see a little bit more images of maybe, all the different shirts that you carry, just not necessarily on models, but on, product imagery. And in the beginning of starting a business, you have to be very resourceful. So I would actually find recent college graduates that are looking to build their product photography portfolio, and they will actually probably shoot for free. So in the beginning of building a business, you have to decide, even if you get the $5,000 this week, putting that $5,000 to work is going to be so important, putting it in the right places. And if I were you, I definitely would put it into expanding product, and I would put it into product imagery so you can, shoot the product in different ways. At the end of the day, business is all about branding and marketing. So you have a great brand going for you, and now it's just continuing to put those dollars into the marketing to continue to scale the business up.
All right, great tips there, Alexandra. Bianca, we want to thank you so much for joining us today, and we're going to have you back at the end of the week with all of our other contestants when Alexandra will choose the winner of our Pitch Payday Challenge. So, Alexandra, we'll see you again tomorrow when we meet our next contestant.
Wow, that was $5,000 worth of free advice there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well? All right, stay with us, folks. We're going to continue to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Week all week here, or Heritage Month all week here. Up next, when we come back, Becky G.
That's right, the Latin pop star, actress, and activist, now podcaster as well. Becky G, right here when we come back.
2 teenage girls vanished, possibly abducted.
What are the odds?
They give out odds on that sort of thing.
12 missing females within 100 miles. Trust me, things are about to take an ugly turn.
So we just wait? No, we do not wait.
We got ourselves a predicament.
Kim Delaney returns to daytime next week on ABC's General Hospital.
Hit song Dollar, you're hearing there about Latin music superstar Becky G. She's a multifaceted artist, not only a huge pop star, she's an actress, she's an activist, and now she wants to be a podcaster.
No, she doesn't want to be. She is a podcaster now, TJ. She just launched her bilingual podcast, En La Sala, on Amazon Music, and she is here to tell us all about it. So, Becky G, thank you for being with us today. I have to say, I was listening to Shower in my dressing room this morning because we were wanting to listen to it again. What a great song. You did that when you were 16 years old, and it was obviously a huge hit that we're still listening to today. Why did you decide to make that crossover then into Latin music?
It's interesting to look back. I started out very young. I got signed at 14 years old to my very first record label, and I'm 23 today. And when I think about, my transition into Spanish music, the truth is I'm not doing the crossover. I am the crossover because I've lived my life simultaneously in 2 worlds at the same time. I speak a little bit of Spanish. I speak a little bit of English. I call my generation of young Latinx, I guess Spanglish speakers. We've created our own little world, and it's really awesome to be authentically yourself, and not have to choose which side you belong on, but just know that you can just be.
Now, you spoke there about the Latinx community, and you have the podcast going now. I'm curious about some of the topics now. We have a very important election year we're right in the middle of. Also, the pandemic disproportionately affecting people of color, including the Latinx community, of course. So are these topics we can expect to hear you talking about on your podcast as well?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I think that going into what is a new space for me, having, being a host of a podcast is definitely new, but at the same time, these are things that have been happening to our communities for years now, you know, before I was even born. And I feel like it's important that we have representation in safe places for young individuals like myself to have these conversations and know that nothing's off limits, no topics are off limits, and we can have a one-on-one, heart-to-heart, transparent conversation.
And you're having these conversations and you're having them with an impact because you are dedicating each episode to a different nonprofit, and that's attached with an actual donation. So tell us why you decided to do this, how you chose your charities. Just curious, because that's a pretty awesome thing to be doing. You're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk.
Thank you so much. You know, when going into this partnership with Amazon, it was one of my conditions, I guess you can say. I felt very strongly that if we're going to talk about the culture, we got to get back to the culture. And a lot of the topics that we're talking about, like I said, are very, very things that are affecting our minority communities, you know, the brown and black communities. And I felt like it's the right thing to do. It's the only way that I would be able to go into something like this. And it makes me really proud. You know, there's a lot of incredible individuals behind the scenes, also behind the cameras, part of production, that are just like myself, that are Latinx themselves and know how important it is to give back to the communities that we come from. So decision making for those is really hard. If we would want to give to everyone, but we're very strategic. We're all about community and uplifting. I was born and raised in Inglewood, California. Proud to be a Cali girl, and so we're trying to inspire others to start within their own communities.
Becky G, it's really, really good to have you, and I want folks to know you can catch In La Sala every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Amazon Music podcast. Becky, good to see you. Hope to see you again down the road, all right?
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
Same to you. The future's in good hands with young women like her, right? Dr. Jen?
So long, right? Yeah.
So you guys, final thoughts today, inspired by something we do a lot of, texting. I read a really interesting article in Psychology Today about how during the time of pandemic, when there's so much disconnection, texting, which before the pandemic, people thought, get off that thing, communicate face-to-face, in person. We really can't do that as much, or at least in the same way anymore. So texting is taking on a really important meaning for so many. Do you guys think of it in between emails and phone calls?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, so yeah, it's quick, easy, don't have to explain a lot.
And then DMing is like one step below.
Well, all right, but there you go. Good to know. We text though.
TJ? I DM TJ.
I don't DM. I don't use
Well, of course not, because you don't follow anyone. But at any rate,
goodness.
What's in? See, I got you on that one. What is important about this is that in this article, psychologists are really talking about the fact that you can have some meaningful interactions even via text, and it's not necessarily just the quality but the quantity. So I'm going to text you later.
Yeah, it is about the quantity though when you're TJ, because he just follows one. That's
right.
That is GMA3 for this Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us for what you need to know. You needed to know that. Give us a follow on Insta, if not TJ, Facebook and Twitter. Come on back tomorrow. I'm Amy Robach.
I won't be back tomorrow, I don't think, folks. So, I'm TJ Holmes, and I'm going to take this time to... Oh, no, really, guys, thank you so much for being here at Times Square Studios in New York. Please, send your help my way. Clearly, they've decided to gang up on TJ, but Dr. Ashton and Robach, everybody else here at ABC.
To do that.
We'll see you soon.
GH will be back Monday.
For now, give us the fall frenzy.
The following